So it's the end of April. This is in Garden Zone 7A in Maryland. We're about a 5-minute walk from the Potomac River. We are at a base of a mountain, so definitely have some microclimate conditions that we do consider. Things are looking pretty good. Daffodils are done, tulips are done, clematis, things are just really wanting to burst out into bloom. Clematis here, starting to pop open. I have the roots protected by lamb's ear, keeps those roots nice and cool. That holly in the corner there, that was an original planting with the house. And you'll notice that holly looks pretty good. I have limbed it up off the bottom a bit. It does tend to get out of control during the summer. So azaleas have bloomed. They're succumbing and starting to drop off with this heat. Got some really hot days yesterday and today. A container. I've really have transitioned most of my containers to perennials, using very little annuals, just so that it can continue to have some shape and structure. Again, this is the other holly that has been here with the original of the house. You can see it's struggling, but it's not dead. We did cut down a cherry tree very close to this, and we do think there was either, that cherry tree when it was cut down released something, or we must have hit a root from this bush, and it did go into a bit of a shock. But been fertilizing. The leaves that are there are definitely green, and I am getting some new foliage. In the event it looks really bad, I do have a clematis on the side here that I planted late in the fall last year, and I plan to grow that clematis up into that bush, and I think that'll help that look better, and it's just an experiment for sure. Peonies are just wanting to open up. So we should see something really a nice show here in about a week. Spirea have all flushed out. Blooms will be coming shortly. The white alliums are starting to pop open. Baptisia there, starting to come up. One of my favorite plants, the euphorbia, is looking just lovely. This keeps its structure all through the winter. These yellow little flowers are so cute, vibrant. You can see from quite a ways. The sedum below it really just fills in that space. The butterfly bush, obviously not in bloom yet, but still looks good. And then I have a mock orange that you can just see the buds all through the bush, and they're gonna try to pop open. You can see one right here is starting to pop open. They're just gonna pop open this week. Just planted 2 snowball Chinese viburnums. I'm actually going to create a little bed here, take the edging of the bed over the entrance of the backyard, and carry it over to this serviceberry, so it's really nice and uniform. Just haven't created the bed yet, but needed to get the viburnums into the ground, because when you go to the nursery, you buy them, and if I leave them in a pot too long, they don't do well. So I just want to get them in the ground. The one casualty on this side of the house is this climbing rose. It's a David Austin. I think it's the Lady of Shalott. Looked great last year. I trimmed it back. No signs of growth. Really disappointed, but you know, I definitely have a lot more wins and losses, so I will just get another climber and put it there. I'm not sure if it got too wet over winter. We had a mild winter, so can't imagine that's the case. So just walking back across the front yard. Again, you know, happy for the most part of how things are looking. So starting on the other side of the house, I have a Limelight Standard hydrangea in the pot, which is actually really perfect. There's some electrical that runs right below there, so I don't ever really want to put a large bush right where those electrical lines are. The hellebores are looking, you know, honestly, for as long as they've been out, I think they still look really sweet. And they have spread this year, which is nice. The hostas are out. They're really showing up some color. The Solomon Seal, and then I have some Columbine there. The daylilies in the back, or in the middle there, they will bloom in the summer. Baba's gonna let us in the back door. So, love the dogwood. It's still partially in bloom. It's such a sweet looking tree. I am sure everyone's gonna comment I planted it too close to the house, which is probably true, but it looks sweet and really like it. I like this area here. Really don't have to do much to it. It's self-sustaining. I have Solomon Seal. I have what my dad calls, a native hosta from the mountains of West Virginia. I have some ferns and of course some columbine. These are endless summer hydrangeas. They typically bloom blue. And you know, hopefully we get a nice show. Our winter was pretty mild and we haven't had a late freeze, so hopefully those blooms will be good. I do have a wisteria on this like little bench arbor. This is a casualty of having an active dog. We had some chewing, and he chewed right through a major artery off of the wisteria, which has caused some dieback up on top. But wisterias are so tough, honestly. He's done some natural pruning probably for me, so I'm not, believe me, I was upset, but I got over it knowing what the plant was. The other thing with an active dog, you'll notice throughout the garden beds, I've added these removable little 18, I think they're like 18 inches across, like 2 feet high fencing. Honestly, it slows him down. He can absolutely jump it, but when he's playing fetch, it helps the ball from getting in the garden, stops him. It is a visual barrier for him and makes him think a little bit. Things are looking really good. Roses have green, really good green foliage, no black spot as of yet. I think this is the cat's pajama Nepeta. I think it's the Junior Walker. And then I have some salvia behind it just to help with the bloom bloom, always having something bloom in partnership with the roses. Hostas are, of course, looking really good right now. They just really come out. Bobo hydrangeas starting to leaf out. Here's another casualty of having an active dog in the winter. I think he ran through this bush one too many times, broke off half of the bush's branches. But you know, you're gonna work with it. It's a consequence of having, you know, your man's best friend in the backyard. Added some additional shade loving plants here. Some extra fern, hostas. The rhododendron's about to bloom. That should be really, really pretty. Mary's garden is looking well. The trumpet vine in the back is, you know, went through the winter. Planted that last June. Didn't die. It had a little bit of dieback, but I think that was more from me manhandling one of the vines too much, where it probably crimped and had some dieback. Some original azaleas that were in the property are looking really, really, really good. It's actually a variegated azalea. So the leaves have some interest. There was a whole bunch of hostas here for the last several years. I've taken those hostas out, experimenting with some other plants here. This area around the house does have irrigation. Casualty of having a dog is Bubba chewed up the irrigation in this section after I ripped out the hostas because the irrigation was exposed. So the irrigation guys have to come and fix that irrigation when they activate the line. Don't pay attention to the areas between the patio areas. It's a work in progress. It's probably the one thing that I'm having a struggle bus in figuring out what to do with that. I've been planting ajuga. I've done creeping thyme. That's too sensitive. I have ajuga, which seems to do well, but it didn't overwinter as well as I thought it would do. I've tried to put mulch on it. The dog just, you know, it looks nice for about 2 minutes and then the dog runs through it. And so the mulch is not an answer. Thought about doing pea gravel, but then I'm sort of afraid because I think it's going to be the same situation with the dog. So just working through that. The 9 bark have leafed out along the fence. They're about to pop and bloom, these tiny little white blooms, which will be really pretty. And they will bloom approximately the same time as the deutzia, the tall bushes here in front of the screen. Over the weekend, I planted all the annuals that line the front of this bed. So I did the silverberry, proven winner, petunia, and the pink truffula, gonfrina, I think. The silverberry petunia I've used before, love it. As you can see, the daffodils are done, but I do have some alliums that are starting to pop open, or starting to at least consider popping open. The lamb's ear, you know, honestly, I really like it. It's a workhorse. It spreads, it keeps the weeds down in those areas. I like how I'm having it sort of sparsed out throughout the wall. And just note, it's a great place for mama bunnies to put their babies, and when you have a hunting dog, they don't last very long. Pinky Winky hydrangeas, trim those back. They can get pretty big, so I did a good decent trim in February to get those back to size. And they're leafing out, and I will definitely say I think the stems are sturdier compared to last year. This will be the second or third. Yeah, this will be going into the third season for these guys. So, you know, first year they sleep, second year they creep, third year they leap. So hoping to get some really nice blooms here. The black lace elderberry, you know, really so delicate, but it's starting to bloom. Expect that to be covered in blooms here in a week or so. The ground cover roses look really, really healthy, no black spot. Sunshine ligustrum, gosh, probably one of my favorite plants in the garden. They just pop, right? And it allows other plants to look really amazing near them, next to them. It just gives that color contrast. And when you have that smoke bush as an accent, it just looks really, really good. And the nice thing is that these sunshine ligustrum, they stay evergreen through the winter. So they have gotten through one winter, and they went through it really, really well. I was concerned that maybe I was a little too cold for them. Just planted some fairy tale hydrangeas. These are cascading hydrangeas from Proven Winners. I'm hoping with the slope between, you know, on this steep hill here, that those will cascade and be really pretty. The magnolia is done blooming. Love the purple bearded iris against that sunshine ligustrum. It looks really, really pretty. And again, my favorite, you know, that euphorbia. So this is probably be the, I guess, third season for this perennial. I guess not last summer, but the summer before we actually had this bed put in. It was mostly bare the first year when we had the bed put in, just letting the compost and mulch to really settle in and improve the soil here. So I really started planting last summer. You know, it feels really good. It's getting filled in. You know, things are in bloom, and I can see where things are going to be in bloom, and we're going to have something in bloom at all time. You know, investing in some seeds and planted some foxglove last year, investing on those blooms because this blooms on the second year of that plant. So we have some foxglove here and up at the top where we are going to see some blooms. Tulips are done. The tulip show was actually really, really nice. I had those really tightly compacted in. The top of the hill, honestly, we get a lot of, it has a lot of direct sun, morning, afternoon, and it does not have irrigation, and it's underneath this cherry tree. So it's very dry and sunny. So I think I may put a bench there and maybe a container to help, because the other thing too, the soil is not good. The cherry tree roots just makes that area really hard to plant in. So either need to really just work, maybe add soil, work it, and then plant, or just add a bench. we like standing on top of this hill to throw the ball for the dogs, so the bench might be a welcome seating area. The vegetable bed's it was cleaned up in early March to get the old stuff out. We have the apple trees have already bloomed, and their blooms are done. Just planted strawberries, more strawberries in the strawberry container, and then I've added these grow bags for my potatoes. So that's a new experiment. I've never grown anything in a grow bag, so I thought that would be something fun to do. But we are ready to go. The seeds and little plants are in the basement under their grow lights. So we have tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, lots of things to plant. We have done several harvests of asparagus. I try not to harvest every spear, just to allow the plants to have energy from the sun for the next year's crop. So we eat as much as we can. You know, don't want to be overdone on asparagus, but you know, I'm really happy that we have that perennial crop in the garden. The boxwoods have not been trimmed. These are sprinter boxwoods. They, you know, honestly, we planted these, I think now 3 years ago. I think they've put on good size. You can see the growth difference though for the ones underneath that cherry tree that doesn't get a lot of water. And don't mind the weeds up there. It's just an area where I'm ignoring, but we'll get to it. So this is this corner here is a spot I've worked on this weekend, expanding this out. We had this just generally mulched with the hammock, and I decided to go ahead and plant that up. So put the Slenderina blue spruce there in the corner. It'll get 12 feet high, 6 feet wide. A Japanese maple. So I think the colors are good. It has good shade from the trees. Gets both from the front of the fence and then this maple here that we have planted. This is where I stopped this weekend, was weeding around the camellias. So the camellias, this is, these were transplanted here from where the sunshine ligustrum were, or are. So the camellias were up there where the sunshine ligustrum were last spring. So they did not perform well at the top of the hill. I think they got too much wind and cold. So I did transplant the camellias last spring to here to create a hedge along the fence. Honestly, when I transplanted them, I thought they would be dead. They had really lost all of their leaf foliage. All the leaves came out and they bloomed last month. So all the orange that you can see in the garden are spent blooms. You can see one is about to open. They were really, really pretty. So happy that they have survived and lived. Just need to get control of the weeds that continue to sort of agonize me here in this section. Thinking about some type of ground cover. It'll help protect those roots, decrease the amount of weeds, etc. So the plan is, you see how I have this corner bed sort of with a curve that comes toward the camellias. We're gonna do the same rounded curve to create a bed around this red bud that I just put in about 3 weeks ago. So that is the plan, and so that it will have sort of a balanced look on this side yard. And then once I have that done, then the picnic table that's here as a working table will go back in the yard. So overall, not to make you too dizzy, overall, I'm really pleased with how things are coming, and we didn't even really go over the top tier. The Wildelia are starting to bloom. The oak leaf hydrangea looks great. The holly trees we got planted last year look great. So yeah, things for the most part, most of everything has survived the winter. So thanks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as I enjoy looking at this space, and hope to do another video at the end of May. Thanks.